Are you eating avocado and olive oil to be healthier? But have you ever wondered why the more right you eat, the heavier your body feels? Perhaps the problem isn't the food itself, but the timing of when you introduce it into your body. I am Ethan Marshall, a 60-year-old physician from the United States, a specialist in natural health, and I want to begin with a truth that may make you uncomfortable. Many people believe they are eating healthier than ever, yet their bodies are becoming increasingly fatigued, heavy, and drained of vitality. What's shocking is not that they are eating the wrong foods, but that they are eating the right foods at the wrong time. Before going any deeper, if you truly care about real health, not surface-level advice, please subscribe to the channel, hit like, and share this video to support me in continuing to create honest, in-depth, and genuinely helpful content for you. Now let's talk about raw fats, avocado, coconut, olive oil, names that are praised as symbols of healthy eating. In the world of raw food and natural healing, they are almost placed on a pedestal. Many people believe that simply switching to these fats will automatically make their bodies healthier. But through decades of observation and working with patients, I have come to a very different realization. The same food can be medicine for one person, yet a burden for another. The issue is not whether fats are good or bad, but a deeper question. What stage is your body in right now? Many people enter their healing journey with impatience. They want to do everything right at once. Eat raw, eat lots of avocado, add extra virgin olive oil, drink dense smoothies, believing that the more good fats they consume, the more energy they will have. What they fail to notice is that their body is like a house that hasn't been cleaned in years. When the elimination system is still congested, when the colon is still carrying waste accumulated over many years, any dense food can become an obstacle. In reality, I have met many people who tell me they eat very clean, very green, yet after meals they feel sleepy, mentally heavy, and bloated. That doesn't mean avocado or olive oil are enemies. It simply shows that their body is not yet ready to receive them. This is the context we must understand before talking about right or wrong. Raw fats are not the problem, but using them without considering the internal state of the body is the root of the trouble. And I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, are you eating based on popular beliefs, or are you truly listening to your body? So in your opinion, the fatigue after eating fats is due to A, the body detoxing, or B, the body not being ready to receive them yet? Choose A or B and leave your comment below. When approaching the topic of fats from Arnold Ehret's perspective, we must completely set aside familiar classifications such as good fats or bad fats that are common in modern nutrition and go straight to the physiological foundation he established. According to Ehret, every food that enters the body must be evaluated based on its impact on the formation and accumulation of mucus, because mucus is the intermediary factor that causes blockage, reduces vitality, and opens the door to disease. In this framework, fats, even plant-based fats, are not considered neutral. They are acidic to a certain degree and tend to promote mucus formation, especially when consumed in a body that has not yet been cleansed. Unlike fresh fruits or leafy greens, which are easy to digest and support elimination, fats have a dense structure that requires greater physiological effort to process, thereby slowing the natural rhythm of the digestive system. In Ehret's writings, mucus is not described merely as a phenomenon occurring within the intestines, but as a diffuse state that adheres to blood vessel walls, connective tissue, and the nervous system, reducing the transmission of vital energy throughout the body. When fats are introduced into this context, they do not directly cause disease, but they act as a factor that maintains and thickens existing obstructions. This perspective also aligns with the observations of Norman Walker and Bernard Jensen, both of whom emphasize that a congested colon is the root cause of many systemic disorders, and that any food that slows elimination indirectly prolongs the state of self-intoxication. In this logic, fats become a component that requires special consideration, not because they are inherently toxic, but because of their ability to slow the removal of waste. Ehret does not completely deny the role of fats, but he places them in their proper position within the healing order. Not as a staple food, and certainly not as the foundation of the diet when the body is still burdened with accumulated waste. This perspective helps explain why the same fat, when introduced into a relatively clean body, can be tolerated without negative reactions. Yet when introduced too early, can intensify feelings of heaviness, sluggishness, and depleted vitality. Thus, in Ehret's system of thought, the issue is not choosing the right or wrong type of fat, but understanding the relationship between fats, mucus, and the internal cleansing state of the body. During deep detoxification, the body enters a physiological state very different from normal maintenance, and every nutritional decision in this phase must be viewed through the lens of prioritizing elimination over nourishment. The primary goal of detoxification is not to supply dense energy, but to create the most favorable conditions for the body to mobilize and eliminate waste that has accumulated over many years in the colon, connective tissue, and circulatory system. In this context, fats, even raw, natural fats, become a factor that can slow this process. Physiologically, fats require longer digestion time, stimulate greater bile secretion, and reduce the speed of intestinal peristalsis, thereby prolonging the retention of waste in the colon. When waste remains longer, fermentation and self-intoxication tend to increase, running counter to the core objective of detoxification, which is to accelerate elimination. Practical observation shows that during this phase, many people experience clear reactions after consuming fats, such as heaviness in the abdomen, drowsiness, reduced mental clarity, or prolonged lethargy. These manifestations should not be interpreted as positive signs of cleansing, but rather as physiological feedback, indicating that the body is being hindered in its elimination efforts. In classical natural healing systems, including Ehret's method, detoxification is seen as a process that requires maximum simplification of the diet in order to reduce the burden on the primary eliminating organs such as the intestines, liver, and kidneys. Fats, due to their dense nature, are not aligned with this goal when introduced too early or in significant amounts. Therefore, the practical recommendation during deep detoxification is to minimize or even temporarily eliminate fats entirely from the diet to create a physiological environment in which cleansing can occur more effectively. This approach is not dogmatic, nor a denial of the long-term value of fats, but reflects a stage-based principle. Each phase of the healing journey requires different choices. When the body is prioritizing elimination, any factor that slows the natural flow of waste must be carefully considered. Reducing or eliminating fats during this phase is thus not a deficiency, but a strategy to help the body complete its foundational cleansing work, laying the groundwork for more balanced nutritional phases later on. Once the body has moved past the deep detoxification phase and basic signs of congestion have gradually been resolved, the role of fats in the diet begins to change noticeably. In this state, the elimination system functions more stably. Colonic stagnation decreases, intestinal motility improves, and the feeling of heaviness after meals is no longer a frequent response. In this context, a small amount of raw, unprocessed fats can be tolerated by the body without causing significant interference with natural physiological processes. However, this shift does not mean that fats return to a central position in the diet. On the contrary, using fats at this stage requires greater restraint and awareness, because the boundary between support and obstruction still exists. Functionally, fats may help stabilize energy, support the absorption of certain fat-soluble nutrients, and create satiety, but only when used in very limited quantities. Making fats the foundation of meals, even when the body is cleaner, tends to recreate conditions for new accumulation if not carefully controlled. Therefore, the appropriate approach is to reintroduce fats cautiously, step by step, with close observation of physiological responses after eating. These responses do not need to be interpreted through complex metrics, but through simple sensations: lightness or heaviness, clarity or sluggishness, openness or congestion. In natural healing systems, this capacity for self-observation is considered a more reliable evaluation tool than any rigid rule. Another important point at this stage is recognizing the secondary role of fats compared to foods that are easier to digest and support elimination. Even when the body is cleaner, the foundation of the diet should still be built on foods that place minimal burden on digestion, with fats appearing only as a supplementary element. This approach reflects the principle of dynamic balance in healing, not permanent exclusion, but also not excessive favoring. Accepting fats when the body is cleaner is therefore not a return to old habits, but a subtle adjustment aimed at maintaining the achieved state of flow, while avoiding the re-establishment of conditions that lead to congestion and long-term depletion of vitality. At the conclusion of this line of reasoning, the principle for using fats in a healing context must be clearly and consistently redefined, not based on popular beliefs or temporary nutritional trends, but on the body's actual physiological feedback. In this approach, fats are not viewed as the central factor determining health, but as a supportive component that only plays a positive role when placed in the correct position. Treating fats as the nutritional foundation, whether raw or natural, tends to shift the focus of healing away from the core objective of maintaining free elimination and the flow of vital energy. Conversely, when fats are used as a supplementary element in limited amounts, they can help complete a meal without creating significant burden. The heart of this principle lies in the ability to listen to and correctly interpret bodily signals. Reactions such as heaviness, drowsiness, reduced mental clarity, or feelings of sluggishness after eating should not be dismissed or rationalized, but understood as signs that the body is working too hard to process something unsuitable. In contrast, feelings of lightness, stability, and clarity after meals reflect compatibility between the food and the body's current physiological state. Practical experience shows that those who adjust fat intake toward moderation, especially in the early stages of healing, often experience clearer improvements in energy, digestion, and focus than those who maintain high-fat diets under the belief that fats are always beneficial. Importantly, this principle is neither dismissive nor extreme, but based on conditional flexibility. Fats are not permanently excluded, nor are they unconditionally favored. Placing them in a secondary role helps maintain balance between nourishment and elimination, two inseparable elements in any natural healing system. From this perspective, the concluding guidance is clear. Fats should be used like seasoning to complete a meal, not as the main course that dictates the entire nutritional structure. When this principle is applied consistently, it not only helps prevent the re-establishment of conditions that lead to congestion, but also supports the maintenance of stable vitality, which is the foundation of sustainable health. The journey across all 5 sections shows that raw fats are neither enemies nor absolute saviors of health. The value of avocado, coconut, or olive oil does not lie in labels of good or bad, but in their relationship to the internal state of the body. When the body is still burdened with congestion and prioritizing cleansing, fats tend to slow elimination and prolong heaviness. Conversely, when digestion and elimination are more fluid, a small amount of raw fats can be tolerated without interference. This entire line of reasoning leads to a core message. Health does not come from eating the right list of foods, but from placing the right foods at the right physiological time. Fats only truly play a positive role when used consciously, with restraint, and without occupying a central position in the nutritional structure. The deeper lesson is that the body always responds more honestly than any theory. Instead of chasing trends or popular beliefs, each person can begin by observing their own sensations after eating, light or heavy, clear or sluggish. The practical application is simple yet effective. During periods of fatigue, heaviness, or intentional cleansing, reduce fats to a minimum. When the body feels more stable, reintroduce them as a small supplementary element, not a foundation. In your view, on your own health journey, what matters more? Eating large amounts of foods labeled as good, or eating what truly fits your body's current state? Please share your thoughts honestly in the comments. If you want to continue exploring natural healing knowledge in a systematic and practical way, please fill out the form in the description to receive a Healing Health ebook as a gift. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit like, and share this video to support the channel in continuing to deliver deep, valuable, and meaningful content to the community.